episode of What's for Dinner. It's Sunday night, it's the week of St. Patrick's Day, and I bought a brisket with the full intention of brining it and corning it and having corned beef and cabbage next weekend. But I'm being lazy, and I had a really busy yesterday. My nephew got married. Congratulations, Nick and Jessica. And I'm having a do-nothing day today. So the best idea that I came up with for dinner was just to cook a brisket in the oven all day, long and slow. And I thought I would show you how to do that because I haven't shared that one with you yet. Super simple. And if you ever are inclined to go out and just buy a regular old beef brisket, now I did buy a whole one, and that can be pricey, but it's so much meat that you'll have lots and lots of brisket left over that you can put in the freezer, you can make into so many different things. So let's show you what goes into this. I have here a whole beef brisket. Now I've been having a problem recently. I haven't been able to find the whole briskets. I'll usually buy these at Sam's Club, and they come cryo-packed like this. I want the whole brisket, but lately they've only been selling the flat end, which is like from here to here. This is the flat end, and you can see that this end is called the point end. A lot of people don't like the point end because it's a little more sinewy and fatty, and then there is a very big cap of fat on here. You're not going to cut that off. I'll show you this side. There's a lot of fat on a brisket, so please don't be put off by that because, as we all know, fat equals flavor. You don't have to eat the fat, but you do need to allow the meat to slow cook with the fat and impart that flavor into the meat. When you eat it, you're not going to eat all the fat. There is a lot of fat inside that's marbled in there, and that's what you want. If you want a low-fat piece of meat, you're going to want an eye roast or an eye of round, and then you're going to cook it completely differently. But this, we're going to show you how to do today. Let me crack this puppy open. I'll get my water running. And as with any meat that you purchase, not just beef, I rinse all of my meat that I cook. My sink has been cleaned. I'm going to get rid of this and put it in the garbage can. I like to make sure that this piece of meat, run your hand over every inch of it. Cold water, please. Rinse it off really good. And that's it. You want to make sure that you're rinsing off any residual bacteria that may be on that meat from the packing process, because any of us who've done any research into the meat packing industry, and I'm not scared of eating meat, but I think that we all need to be vigilant about how we handle our raw meat once we get them home. Now, I'm going to let that sit in the sink for just a moment. Here, I have 3 large stalks of celery that I have just cut into sticks. I stripped them into 4 pieces, and I cut them 3 times. Let's throw that in the bottom of the pan. I have about a cup of baby carrots and 1 large whole onion. And I'm just going to dump those in here. This is what you're going to put in the bottom. This is a mirepoix. This is the basis for most French cooking. If you were cooking a Cajun-style dish, you would have a different mirepoix, or Holy Trinity they like to call, which is celery, bell peppers, and onions. This is a traditional French mirepoix. This is also traditionally what many Jewish people would use in their preparation for their beef brisket. So I'm just going to pull this over here, and I'm going to duck under Rick's arm. I'm going to take this big old piece of meat and I'm going to put it in there, just like this. I want this fat cap right on the top. I don't want you to cut anything off of this piece of meat. And then I'm going to move my pan back over here. And I'm going to give my hands a quick wash with some soap and water. Okay. The way that I season up my brisket could not be easier. This is a no-brainer. All right, we're gonna start by seasoning up our meat, and I'll tell you what I have here. And this is your preference. This is just what I'm doing today. I have, and because this is such a large piece of meat, I do have large amounts of seasoning. A tablespoon each of thyme, marjoram, and garlic powder, and a teaspoon of celery seed. I know that seems a little odd, but I like the flavor celery seed gives things. So I'm just going to take my finger, mix this up. And I'm just going to sprinkle all over the meat. We'll go down the sides. Just rub it in. Rinse off my hands. And then we're going to go to the ubiquitous 1970s kitchen standby onion soup mix. And the reason I use onion soup mix is because I haven't found one better thing that makes the meat taste as good as this does. And one thing too, when I open these up, if you just kind of break up those clumps of soup and onion in there before you open the little package, shake it down and tear it open, then you won't have as much of a problem when you get ready to sprinkle this over. And don't worry about those clumps and lumps, because the ones that didn't break down, you can just go with your fingers and kind of break them up. I actually think I'm going to stop at 2, because sometimes that onion soup mix tends to be a little on the salty side. Later on, if I feel like it's not oniony enough or whatever, which I doubt with all of the onion that we already have in here, and the dehydrated onion that's in the onion soup mix is going to lend a very intense onion flavor anyway. So I'm going to stop at 2 packets, which is 1 box of onion soup mix, and then you should be good to go. Now, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to run my water here so it gets cold. Actually, I'm going to come over here to my Berkey, and I'm going to get some water out of my Berkey as I trip over Sophie. This is going to be a steam roasting process where you're going to tent this with aluminum foil. And here I have 2 cups of water. I'm going to go get 2 more. And maybe I can have Rick come over here and show you guys what I'm talking about. If you don't know what a Berkey is, this is a big Berkey water filter. And we've had this for about 2 years. This is an intense water filter. This will actually filter stagnant pond water in the event of an emergency. So we like to have this on hand because we filter our water when we drink it. And I do have a filter on the sink that I use a lot, but this one actually filters the water better. So I didn't know if I ever mentioned that to you guys. And I'm going to go and get another little bit of water, and I'm going to pour it over the top of that roast. Really a brisket, not a roast. I said brisket. And then this way, I'm just going to moisten the top a little bit. It's going to be moistened fine, because once the steam starts to accumulate, let's see, I know I have some bigger foil. Oh, that's nonstick foil. Okay. All right. Maybe I don't have any big foil like I thought I did. That's okay. Before I put the foil on there, I'm going to put a piece of parchment paper over the meat. And I do have this in a non-stick pan. seal up that foil around the edges. And then I'm going to put one more piece of foil right down the middle. Just seal it in there really good. Now I have my oven preheated to 350 degrees. And we're going to just stick this in the oven. When I can smell it, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to turn the heat down in here to between 300 and 275 when I can start to smell it. And there it's going in for its nice warm nap for the rest of the day. Now it's about 10 o'clock in the morning. And I'm going to let that cook. I'm probably going to let it cook until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I'm going to come and check it. It's probably going to be done by then, to my liking. I don't want it to be completely slumped and falling apart, although it's delicious that way. I want it nice so that I can slice it. And then there are 100 different things you can do with that leftover brisket besides just serve it on your plate with potatoes or potato pancakes or any other myriad.
Sandwiches.
Or put it on sandwiches. He says you can use it for shredded beef barbecue. You can use it for anything. Beef and gravy, whatever. But we'll do some leftover meals with it for sure. So when it comes out of the oven to check it at 3 o'clock, I'll be sure and let you see what I do. Okay, it is, what did I say? I put this in at 10 o'clock. It is, it's 20 after 2 right now.
I changed the clock.
Oh, you did? Yeah. You changed the clock. It's daylight savings time day. Woohoo! This is one day I really miss living in Arizona because we don't change our clocks there. So I went ahead and I cut a piece here. I'm going to just see if it's done. This skinny end I'm sure is done, but I'm not sure that the middle piece is done. So I'm just going to set that. See, because this is a bit tougher with my fork and my knife. I can feel it's not as giving as this down here or this back here. So what we're going to do is cover it back up. Oh, let me get a piece. I took that parchment off of there also. I just like to have a barrier between the meat and the aluminum foil. Aluminum is not good for you to consume because it can, too much exposure to aluminum can actually encourage early onset Alzheimer's, and I figure any little bit that we can do to avoid that is probably a good thing. So I'm going to put this back in the oven. I did turn it back down. I turned it down to 300, so I'm just going to put this back. It's very heavy. Yeah, and Rick is like, get your fingers away from the meat, honey. Here, I'll lift it up for you.
Thank you.
Give you a good view. And yes, that is a ginormous layer of fat. But we're going to cut that away. Here, let's give it a little slice. See what it looks like. And this is what I like to do with it. See, once it's cooked long enough, this is going to peel right off, which it's not doing quite yet. But there, see? You're going to just take your knife, scrape that off. You're not going to eat all that fat. I wouldn't recommend it. It's not good for you. It's just like,
for the dogs.
It's not even good for the dogs. There's very little that fat is good for. If you cut it off beforehand, you could render that for beef tallow to make soap with. You know, I can tell this isn't as soft as I like it to be, but it's good for tasting. Mm-hmm. But Rick's not allowed to have any. Mm-hmm. But I know that it's going to need some salt because
you better pay your cameraman.
I like salt on my beef. All right, go for it, babe.
Too hot.
It's hot, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Oh boy, it's yummy.
Oh, wow.
Oh, good.
That is awful.
Oh, you have not eaten a piece of meat until you have had a good piece of brisket.
Good thing you're not here. You wouldn't like this.
Oh, you wouldn't like it at all. In fact, you probably shouldn't make this. And you probably shouldn't make it because all your neighbors will be coming over. Hey, sissy, how are ya? What? She says, Mama, what you got? What you got? It's hot. It's too hot for you.
Smell it.
It's too hot for you. You have to wait. I'm going to let that stay in the oven until around 5. I'm going to check it every hour. Until then, we'll be back later, and I will fix you a plate of brisket for dinner, because I know by then you'll be good and hungry for it. So I'll be back in a little while. And we're back, and it's supper time, and there is our absolutely gorgeous brisket. It had been taken out of the oven around 3 o'clock this afternoon, and I let it rest until it cooled off a bit. I cut all of the fat off of it. I skimmed all of the broth, took all the vegetables out, made some gravy with the pan drippings. I sliced this with my electric knife so it's perfectly sliced, made some mashed potatoes, and I also made some bread this afternoon. And this is bread that I saw on the Barely Seen Ranch channel. My friend over there did a video on her White Mountain bread, and I tried it today, and it is absolutely out of this world. Everybody should go to her channel and take a look at that video and give this a try. Super easy, super delicious. I did a plain boule round loaf. I did a loaf with dehydrated apples and raisins and golden raisins that I rehydrated in some boiling water. And then this just has regular black raisins and golden raisins. And we love it. It's great. So you know what time it is. We're going to fix you a plate. And you are just going to love this. Let's get you a nice slice here. Well, see, it's going to fall apart now. It is succulent and moist. And it is delicious. You just have to take my word for it. I'll give you another little piece from over here. Okay. Scoop of mashed potatoes, and these are garlic mashed potatoes. And what I did not peel my potatoes because all that good fiber is in there. I just boiled the potatoes and several cloves of peeled garlic. And this is our vegetables. And Micah saw them sitting on the counter. She says, "Ooh, mushy carrots." Those are her favorite. And some pan gravy. And it is a lighter gravy, not very thick. Get you a fork. You don't need a knife, I promise. And a piece of Miss Barely Seen Ranch's bread. And that's dinner, folks. The next time you're inspired to make a brisket, give this a try. I hope you try it, and I hope you enjoy it. And until next time, I'll see ya!